Cheers, guys. Epyx911, welcome to the Elitist Geek. Quite a few things to chat about. I apologize, I didn't get a lot of videos in the last couple of weeks. While I'm pretty much recovered from my broken ankle, a little bit of pain, still got a slight limp. Holy shit, that was a nasty break. And I definitely don't recommend a broken ankle to anybody. Could it have been worse? Of course. Paraplegic, quadriplegic, all kinds of things could happen when you fall down. As it happened, I broke my ankle. And since January the 28th, it's been a freaking struggle. I gained a shit ton of weight. I was weighing, my normal body weight should be about 190. Down to about 220, so I was still about 30 pounds overweight, but I was making traction. I had traction, rather. I was lifting weights, I was doing cardio every opportunity I could. I did a half-hour cardio in the morning with my weight sessions. Then on my lunch break at work, I'd go to a nature trail and walk, which was unfortunately the scene of the crime. It was raining. We have one of the West Coast's largest peat bogs. And for those of you that don't know, a bog is just a highly acidic type swamp environment. And it's usually in temperate climates. Northern Europe, Denmark, North Germany, Holland have a lot of these bogs, as does the United Kingdom. And my instinct was to not go walking in the rain, because what they've done is they built a wooden boardwalk near my house that goes over the bog. And it's nice because I can get away from work, I can kind of get away from the city, you know, a 5-minute car ride, and you're basically in a nature trail. And it's about a 30-minute walk. So, you know, you can go at your pace. I crank some tunes on my iPhone, headphones, and just walk. So the day in question, it was raining, and my gut was like, dude, don't do it. I had just read a story about a woman who slipped and hurt her knee. I'm 42, but in my mind I was thinking, oh shit, she was an older lady. How can that happen to me? Well, it didn't. It was worse. I broke my ankle. They put a metal mesh on the middle of the boardwalk for anti-slip. The problem is it's pretty narrow. So I had my right foot on the mesh. My left foot wasn't on the mesh. And I'm probably one of the only guys in the world who ever broke his ankle spitting out his gum. But basically what happened was I spit out my gum. I tried to do the fancy swat. My left foot, which wasn't on the mesh, slipped. My right foot, I was wearing Nikes at the time with good tread, caught onto the mesh. And as I fell, my left foot slid. My right foot did not. Heard a sickening snap as I went down. And within a split second, I had torn a few ligaments and broke 2 bones in my ankle, tibia and fibula. And then had to MacGyver some crutches out of twigs to get off the trail so that the ambulance would have a hope in hell of finding me. Problem was I was in so much pain. I saw a young couple, and I don't know about you guys, but if I saw a young couple, or if I was somebody walking and a guy was sitting there in obvious pain and distress, had broken his leg, and he asked me to go see if the city worker was still further down the trail in his truck, I would at least walk fast, you know, maybe jog, probably run, given the nature, the seriousness of what the fuck is going on. Well, this was a young couple, and they couldn't have been more than about 21, 22. They went for me. But goddamn, they walked slow, like they were still strolling, you know, holding hands, laughing, giggling. I waited about 30 minutes. I finally saw them coming back. You think once they'd made eye contact with me, again, if it was me, I would at least look like I'm hustling on your behalf. No, they walked. They could have shouted it out at 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, but they waited till they were pretty much in front of me to say, city worker isn't there anymore. Oh man. So thank God there was another guy walking his dog, and he did hustle. He went back for me. I called the ambulance, put pride aside because I was in freaking lot of pain. The ambulance came, but of course they didn't know how to get to me, which I figured was the problem. But anyways, the guy with the dog ended up finding the city worker. He came in, brought me, long story short, I finally got to the hospital, which one day I'll tell that story. But we have universal health care here in Canada, and let's just say it ain't without its troubles. Quick summary, 9 hours in the waiting room. 9 hours with a broken foot. Not so much as a Tylenol 3. So obviously I manned up and withstood the pain, but god damn, that hurt. And yeah, 5 hours till they gave me an x-ray, and then another 4 hours to wait for the results. So anywhoobles, I'm back. I can walk. I have a slight limp. I've got some pain in my foot, but for all intents and purposes, I would say I'm about 75%, which is a hell of a lot better than I was previous, walking around with crutches and sandals with no socks because my feet were still too swollen, or my foot was too swollen to fit in a shoe. So that looked kind of weird. You know, you're wearing your business casual work clothes with sandals and no socks. But anywhoobles, a few more months. Doctor says 6 to 12 months. With that said, what has been going on? Well, we've got E3. And E3 is one of those things that I gotta admit, I do get hyped about games. But I've also got to say that the last few E3s have really, really jaded the experience for me. Let me explain after this drink. You see, the trailers that these game companies usually show are absolutely not indicative of the final product. They're not even fucking close. Case in point, my favorite game of 2014, bar none so far, Dark Souls 2. It looked nothing. Even on a PC, at 1080p, modded with uncompressed texture patch, it looks nothing like the E3 trailer. The E3 trailer had gorgeous lighting. It was a sexy product. That engine just shone brilliantly, brightly. Excuse the pun, but it did. And of course, Watch Dogs, which, while fun, is pretty much performance-wise a steaming heap of poop on my system. I've got an i5 running at 4.5 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes of RAM, with 2 gigabyte R9 290s in Crossfire. You think I could run that game at full frame rate even with just no AA or AF enabled? Nope. Roughly 40 to 50 frames per second, which could be forgiven if it looked anything like the E3 trailer. It doesn't. It looks like poop. It honestly looks no better than GTA 4 on the PC did 4 or 5 fucking years ago. Sleeping Dogs with its high definition texture patch looks easily as good as Watch Dogs. And that is a solid 60 frames per second. Sleeping Dogs is, with the high definition patch and all graphic options at maximum. I don't drop below 60. That's how it should be. And again, it wouldn't bother me if Watch Dogs was gorgeous eye candy, but it really isn't. It doesn't look like it would be out of place on a PS3. And that's just the truth. So, anyways, I'm waiting for a patch. I'm waiting for them to fix that shit because it's tray annoying. It's what I've been playing. One of the things I wanted to talk about is sometimes it's a good thing to miss a game, right? When a game comes out and you miss it, especially when there's a dearth, you know, there's a shortage of good games to play. One of the things that I really, really enjoy is games that I missed, you know, from 2 to 3 years ago. Why? A, they've generally got some mod support from the community. B, They're generally stable because they've had an opportunity to be patched 10 ways to Tuesday, right? And C, performance-wise, they're gonna run well cranked. So people with a mid-range system or even a lower-end system are gonna get some benefit and some joy out of the game. That's a couple of years old. So for me, the HD textures, the graphic options cranked to extreme and ultra, it looks every bit as good as Watch Dogs, with the exception being it doesn't drop below 60. Watch Dogs, as soon as you get in your car, it's not stable, the frame rate. And I don't mind a dip, like, okay, look, you're at 60, you dip to 55 because you've got multiple, you're in a car chase, right? Bullets flying everywhere, you've got physics engines running, fine. Drop me from 60 to maybe 50. But to put it into perspective, I can be in areas in Watch Dogs that are graphically intense, not in a car, 60 frames per second, rock solid, to going in a car to areas that aren't graphically intense and running in the high 30s, mid 40s. And have portions of the game literally go like this, where you're going streaming and stream, which, I'm sorry, but after paying $400 per video card, shit. Okay, E3. What else can we talk about on E3? Well, let's talk about the presentations. I found it kind of funny. If you're going to ask me who came out ahead, I would probably say Nintendo. That's being honest. Last year, I think it was pretty unanimous. It was Sony. Sony won E3. I like what Boogie2988 said this year. We, the fans, won E3. Well, that aside, in terms of actual content, Microsoft did a much better job than they did last year. Sony, for some boneheaded reason, picked things that Microsoft included last year that they got lambasted for, like the TV stuff, and thought that that would be a good idea. I'm not sure what the fuck they were thinking, because no, it wasn't. Game-wise, nothing super exciting. At least not on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. I mean, my favorite genre is RPG, and I didn't see much there. I like first-person games. I like puzzle, strategy, Civilization 5 type games. I love all the games. Even, Connect 3 type games. Not Candy Crush, but stuff like Puzzle Quest, if it's done correctly, on the DS and 3DS. Those are great games. Back to the platforms. Nintendo, however, Zelda intrigued me, even if it wasn't much of a trailer, just the possibility of being able to play an open world sandbox style Zelda, that intrigues me, I gotta admit. I was disappointed, Sony, not much Project Morpheus. I think that's a good thing for the Oculus Rift folks. Hopefully with the $2 billion they can, come to market. Seriously, guys, 1080p, just launch it. You're gonna sell a shit ton of them. Worry about 4K down the road. Get your product out. And if you're trying to time it with the Christmas season, fine. Just please, for the love of everything, ship it in 2014. That's all I ask. Xbox One, some good titles. Wasn't crazy on the game front or on the hardware / peripheral / service front. So I think of the three, I think Nintendo, by a bit, came out on top. You've got your Mario Kart, you got your Zeldas, you got your Smash Brothers, of course. I definitely think Nintendo of the three probably had the strongest presentation. So, be interesting to see. But again, a lot of the games, I'm not gonna wax excitement over them, because until I see the finished product, I'm not too interested in trailers. Sorry, guys, I'm just not. So there you go. That was E3 pretty much in a nutshell. In other news, I know some of you have been following my arcade videos and are looking forward to me starting that project. I know I haven't started yet. I said I was going to start within the next couple of weeks. Trust me, I'm close. My ankle's no longer an excuse. I've got the materials. The next step is to laminate. But I can spend a few minutes just talking about it. So what I'm planning this time around, guys, and for those of you who've looked at my Aliens arcade, it's a horizontal arcade. So you've got, I'm using a 27-inch Wells Gardner D9800. It's a digital CRT monitor, so digital timings and digital settings. So it auto switches, you know, between 15 kilohertz games like Elevator Action that ran at low resolutions with much lower refresh rates, to 800 by 600 games, modern games like, you know, Tempest Clones, etc. Street Fighter 4, case in point. But the monitor is set in horizontal, all right? So, like your monitor, which is longer than it is high, right? Arcades games generally came in one of two configurations. Horizontal, so wider than it is high, right? Or what we call portrait, right? Or vertical orientation. So some vertical games that come to mind are a lot of your shooters, Truxton, Raiden, Twin Cobra, those, Top Gunner, those were vertical orientated games. Donkey Kong is another one. Horizontal games like Trojan, Black Tiger, Ghost and Goblins, they run natively in horizontal. What's important about that, the distinction is that for me, I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to my arcade viewing. So you played a game like Donkey Kong, it was a vertical game, all right? So what you have is you've got your scan lines with old CRT monitors. It was being drawn by electron beam gun, right? So the picture's literally being drawn. It starts in the top left, goes to the bottom right, one line at a time, all right? Those lines are called scan lines. And on an old monitor, if you look at, and just remember in your memory, a game like Donkey Kong, it almost looks like, you know, you see the lines and you're missing pixels in between. It kind of gives it that, it's hard to explain to anybody who hasn't lived through it, but if you go back and you compare your LCD monitor running something like Donkey Kong with the actual arcade machine or an arcade monitor, you're going to get those scan lines in between. A lot of the emulators on the market, they do fake scan lines, but nothing beats authentic scan lines, in my opinion. So you play a game like Galaga or Donkey Kong, you get your scan lines going up and down, right? Because it was a horizontal monitor where they go left to right, tilted on its side. So now the scan lines go up, down, up, down, up, down, all right? So for me, just for authenticity, I've got the monitor in horizontal, but games like Galaga, when I play those are vertical games, the scan lines for me are going left to right instead of top to bottom. Not a huge thing. You ask 9 out of 10 people, what's the difference? They're not going to see it. But for us arcade builder purists, it's huge. I spot it right away, just like I spot dead pixels on an LCD screen and they drive me fucking bonkers. You watch a movie with me, after I know there's a dead pixel, I'm going to fixate on that dead pixel. I'm going to watch that dead pixel the whole fucking movie. It's one of those stupid curses. It's just a stupid OCD thing with me. So there's that. Plus, I got buddies over. You know, we got guys' night every Friday. So it would be awesome to have a second arcade cabinet just for my other buddies being able to play while I play, right? But the main purpose really is to have a dedicated vertical cabinet. So on my horizontal one, I can play my horizontal games like Ghosts and Goblins. On my vertical one, I can play vertical games like Donkey Kong. And I'll set up the emulators, specifically the The horizontal cab will exclude the vertical, and the vertical will exclude the horizontal. So there you go. With that said, where am I at with that second vertical cab? I know the theme. It's going to be a Satan's Hollow theme. If none of you know Satan's Hollow, check out some videos on YouTube. I'll try to find a link and put it below. It's one of my all-time favorite vertical games. The music, the atmosphere, it was just almost shooter perfection. All right, shooter in terms of the Space Invader style. It was basically as good as Space Invaders gameplay was ever gonna get. To me, that's Satan's Hollow. So this arcade game is gonna take after that, but it's the vision that I have is, what would a Satan's Hollow 2 game have looked like if it was commercially released? It wasn't, but if it was, what would it look like? And I'm a member of arcadecontrols.com, which is a huge do-it-yourself arcade building hobbyist site. They started out with building arcade controllers, you know, just where you get the controllers, and got into arcade cabinet building as well. So they're an awesome resource for anybody out there who's thinking of building friendly people. But yeah, you'll see my Aliens cab on there. Now the vertical one. So I'm also a guy who likes laminate over paint. So long story short, those videos are going to be coming pretty soon, probably within the next week or two. I know I'm saying that again, but I'm actually at the point physically where I feel I can take on that task without shortchanging you guys and actually give you some good content. So expect the next video to be me laminating the sides. I've got some beautiful Satan's Hollow red style laminate, kitchen counter top vertical grade laminate that is going to make this thing look fucking sexy. So I can't wait. I'm using a Taito, T-A-I-T-O elevator action they did, Bubble Bobble, I believe. I'm using one of their arcade designs for the arcade design, right? So it's a Taito arcade cabinet with red lamination and some beautiful artwork courtesy of a fellow member of arcadecontrols.com. It's a commissioned work. I'm going to advertise it once it's done, because to me his work is top-notch and the world needs to see it, and they need to hire this guy because he's awesome. He's simply awesome. So that's coming up, and of course more reviews and tech talk. Like I said, I'm feeling way better physically, which, you know, took a bit of a mental toll earlier. I think I'm over the hump, so there's going to be a lot more videos coming up. As always, guys, cheers, enjoy the beers, and until the next video. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, and if you didn't like it, please hit like and subscribe as well, and leave a comment below telling me what you didn't like about the video, and I'll try to improve on that, or answer questions that I maybe left you hanging on that I didn't catch in the editing process. Cheers, guys.